My wife texted, staying the week at Dad's, he isn't doing well. I replied, give him my regards. Day 4, divorce papers arrived at the couple's resort, Bungalow 23. Her nursing turned into 39 panicked calls before I blocked her number. That text message from my wife felt innocent enough. She was going to her dad's, he wasn't feeling well. I just sent my best. But 4 days later, divorce papers landed on her resort bungalow, and suddenly, nothing made sense. The kitchen was quiet that Tuesday morning, the smell of fresh coffee still clinging to the air, but the silence felt heavy, like a premonition. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia saying she was spending the week at her dad, Arthur Miller's, place in upstate New York. She said he wasn't feeling well and that she missed me already. I stared at it for a second, that weird gut twist starting, the one you get when something's off but you can't quite name it. I texted back, wished him well, hoped he felt better soon. Professional. Supportive. Exactly what a good husband says. But my brain was already doing the math. Arthur just got back from a fishing trip in Colorado 3 days ago. I'd seen the photos he posted on Facebook, grinning like an idiot with a massive trout, looking healthier than I'd felt in years. The guy's 62 and runs marathons for fun. Not feeling well? Yeah, right. My coffee was getting cold, and I wondered if I was just being paranoid. Maybe he did get sick after the trip. Maybe I was crazy. But then I remembered the last 2 months. The late nights at the office that stretched past midnight. The new password on her phone she'd changed without mentioning it. The way she'd pull away when I tried to kiss her, like I was some stranger on the subway. And then, the constant mentions of Marcus Thorne, her coworker from the marketing department. Always Marcus this, Marcus that. Marcus is so funny. Marcus is so creative. I'd laughed it off. Because I trusted her. Because that's what you do when you're married, right? You trust. God, I was stupid. I opened our shared location app. The one we'd set up years ago for emergencies, for peace of mind, for all those good reasons married people track each other. Her little blue dot wasn't at her father's house in upstate New York. It was 200 miles away. At Willow Creek Lodge. Some fancy couples retreat I'd seen ads for online, all champagne sunsets and romantic getaways. My stomach dropped. I refreshed the app 3 times, thinking it was a glitch. The dot didn't move. Willow Creek Lodge. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, just staring at that blue dot, feeling everything I thought I knew rearrange itself into something ugly. Then I did what any modern, betrayed husband does. I checked her email. We share a family account for bills and subscriptions, but she'd linked her personal Gmail on the home computer. She always forgot passwords. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was an invasion of privacy. But right then, I didn't care about right or wrong. I cared about the truth. It took me 5 minutes to find it. Email confirmation from Willow Creek Lodge. Bungalow 23. Reservation for 2. Guest names, Olivia Monroe and Marcus Thorne. Check-in yesterday. Check-out Sunday. Premium package with couples spa treatment, champagne breakfast, sunset dinner cruise on the lake. My wife. And her coworker. On a romantic week together. While I was home alone, eating takeout and working remotely. I screenshotted everything. The reservation, the confirmation number, the location app showing her at the resort, the email thread where she and Marcus coordinated the trip, talking about finally getting time alone, how they couldn't wait to just be together. Every word felt like a knife. I was methodical about it, saving everything to a private folder, backing it up to the cloud, making sure nothing got lost. Evidence. That's what this was now, not a marriage. Evidence. I remembered something my brother, Jason, told me 3 years ago when he went through his divorce. He said the biggest mistake he made was confronting his ex immediately, giving her time to hide assets, delete messages, spin the story. He said, if you know it's over, you stay quiet and you prepare. You get a lawyer first. You protect yourself first. You don't play fair with someone who's already cheating. So, I didn't call Olivia. I didn't text. I didn't drive to that resort and make a scene. Instead, I called Robert Clark, the divorce attorney who handled Jason's case. He answered on the second ring. I told him who I was, reminded him we met at Thanksgiving a few years back, and explained that I needed his help. He told me to come to his office immediately. 2 hours later, I was sitting across from him in downtown Chicago, sliding printed screenshots across his desk. Robert looked them over with the dead-eyed efficiency of someone who'd seen this exact story 100 times. He confirmed it was clear adultery with good documentation, explaining that in Illinois, this strengthened my position significantly. He asked how I wanted to proceed. I told him I wanted it done fast. I wanted her served while she was still at that resort. I wanted her to get divorce papers delivered to Bungalow 23 while she was there with him. Robert raised an eyebrow. Aggressive, he noted. I reminded him that she texted me this morning, claiming she was caring for her sick father. That she'd looked me in the eye for months while planning this betrayal. I told him I wasn't giving her the courtesy of a heads up. He nodded slowly and said he could have papers drawn up by tomorrow, a process server deliver them by Thursday. He asked if I understood this would be nuclear. Good, I said. Let it burn. I drove home in silence, hands steady on the wheel, my brain on autopilot. When I got back to our empty house, I walked through each room like I was seeing it for the first time. The kitchen where we used to cook together, the living room where we watched movies, the bedroom where we hadn't been intimate in 3 months. It all felt like a museum now, preserving something that was already dead. I sat down at my desk, closed the laptop with all that damning evidence, and stared out the window at the street. Normal people doing normal things, walking dogs, mowing lawns, living their uncomplicated lives. My phone buzzed. A text from Olivia, saying her dad was sleeping, that she missed me and loved me. I didn't respond. I just screenshotted it and added it to the folder. Thursday morning, I got the confirmation from Robert. Process server delivered the papers to Bungalow 23 at Willow Creek Lodge at 11 a.m. Guest signature confirmed, Olivia Monroe. I poured myself a scotch even though it was barely noon. Let her enjoy her week. It would be her last one as my wife. My phone exploded at 11:47 a.m. 16 missed calls from Olivia in the span of 10 minutes. Then the texts started flooding in, messages demanding I call her right now, saying this is insane and that I couldn't do this, begging that we needed to talk. I watched them come in like I was observing weather patterns, detached, clinical. I didn't respond to a single one. By noon, it was 32 calls. By 1 p.m., 39. Then, silence. She'd figured out I wasn't picking up. Good. Let her sit with it. Let her feel what panic tastes like. Robert called me that afternoon. He told me she was trying to reach him, too. That she'd left 4 voicemails and seemed very distressed, wanting to negotiate. I told him to inform her she needed to get her own lawyer. That this wasn't a negotiation. The next week was a blur of legal paperwork and strategic silence. Olivia tried everything. She showed up at the house while I was at work, but I'd changed the locks. She emailed me long paragraphs about misunderstandings and mistakes and how we could work through this. I forwarded them all to Robert without reading past the first line. She reached out to my friends, my coworkers, even my mother, spinning some story about a mental health crisis, about me acting erratically. But I'd already told them the truth, shown them the evidence. Nobody was buying her act. What struck me, though, was how contained her panic felt. Like she was upset, but not destroyed. Like she was following a script for what a betrayed wife should do when caught. Hitting all the right notes, but without real emotion behind them. It bothered me in a way I couldn't articulate. 3 weeks later, we were sitting in Robert's conference room for the first formal meeting. Olivia walked in with her lawyer, some slick guy named Stephen Price, who looked like he billed $800 an hour. She was dressed conservatively, minimal makeup, playing the wounded wife. She wouldn't make eye contact with me. Stephen did most of the talking. He stated that his client was willing to agree to an uncontested divorce, that she was prepared to accept a fair division of assets and move forward amicably. I'd expected a fight. I'd expected her to demand alimony, to drag this out, to make me pay for humiliating her. But she was just agreeing to everything. Robert glanced at me, equally surprised. He carefully noted that was very reasonable and suggested they could draft terms immediately. Olivia finally spoke, her voice soft and controlled, saying she just wanted this over with, that she'd made mistakes and didn't want to make this harder than it needed to be. It sounded perfect. Too perfect. Like she was reciting lines from a teleprompter. We hammered out the details over the next 2 hours. Split the house equity 50/50ths. She kept her car. I kept mine. Divide the savings. No alimony on either side. She didn't fight for a single thing. Just nodded and agreed and signed where Stephen told her to sign. When we were done, she stood up, looked at me for the first time, and told me she was sorry for everything. Then she left. Robert waited until the door closed before commenting on how strange that was. He'd never seen someone give up that easily in an adultery case. Usually, there's at least some pushback. I suggested maybe she just wanted it done, but I didn't believe it. Robert said, maybe. Or maybe she got what she wanted. That night, I sat in my apartment. I'd moved out of the house into a place downtown, and tried to feel something. Relief. Satisfaction. Victory. Instead, there was just this hollow space where my marriage used to be, and a nagging sense that I was missing something obvious. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. Quick, by Illinois standards, for an uncontested case. I signed the papers. She signed the papers. A judge rubber-stamped it. And just like that, 3 years of marriage dissolved into legal documents and asset splits. I should have felt free. I felt watched. 2 days after the divorce was official, I found an envelope slipped under my apartment door. No stamp, no return address, just my name written in block letters. Inside was a single photograph. Olivia and Marcus Thorne, sitting in a coffee shop, laughing. But here's the thing, this photo was recent. Like, within the last week, recent. I could tell by what Olivia was wearing, a blue jacket I saw her post on Instagram 3 days ago. I flipped the photo over. Someone had written, in the same block letters, "You were right about the affair. Just wrong about who planned it." I stared at those words for a long time. Wrong about who planned it. What did that even mean? Marcus planned it? Olivia? Someone else? I pulled up Marcus's social media for the 100th time. His profiles had always been minimal, generic stock photos, barely any posts. I reverse image searched his profile picture. It was from a free stock photo website, model release and everything. Marcus Thorne wasn't real. Or he was real, but he wasn't who he said he was. I spent the next 6 hours going down a rabbit hole. No employment records, no college history, no digital footprint before 2 years ago. It was like he was assembled specifically to exist in Olivia's orbit. Professional actor? Private investigator? Something else? At 3 o'clock in the morning, I was still awake, staring at that photograph, at those words. You were right about the affair, just wrong about who planned it. And then it hit me. The thing Robert said weeks ago. Maybe she got what she wanted. What if Olivia wanted the divorce? What if she needed me to initiate it? To be the bad guy, to look like the controlling husband who tracked his wife's location and served her papers at a resort? What if the affair was faked? I pulled up our divorce agreement on my laptop and read it again. Actually read it this time, instead of just skimming. The house equity split, the savings division, the retirement accounts. It was all exactly 50-50, which had seemed fair in the moment. Seemed reasonable. But I bought that house a year before we got married. The down payment was my money. Legally, in Illinois, that might have given me a stronger claim to a larger share. But I was so angry, so focused on just ending it, that I didn't fight. I just wanted her gone. She played me. The thought dropped into my head like a stone into still water, sending ripples outward. She knew I'd check her location. She knew I'd find the emails. She knew exactly how I'd react because she knows me. Knew me better than I knew myself. She set the trap, and I walked right into it, thinking I was the hunter. I looked at my reflection in the dark window of my apartment, and for the first time since this started, I felt genuinely afraid. Not of Olivia. Of how completely I had misunderstood everything. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Silence for 3 seconds. Then a man's voice. Mr. Harris, this is Marcus Thorne. We should talk. We met at a diner in Brooklyn, one of those 24-hour places that smells like burnt coffee and regret. Marcus Thorne walked in at 2 a.m., looking nothing like his profile photos. He was older, maybe 45, with the tired eyes of someone who'd done this too many times. He sat across from me without ordering anything. You're not a marketing consultant, I said. He shook his head. Actor. Stage work, some commercials. This was just a gig. I repeated his words back to him, disbelieving. You helped destroy my marriage, for a gig? He said, quietly, I helped end a marriage that was already over. He told me my wife hired him 6 months ago through an agency that specializes in this kind of work. Relationship exit strategies, they called it. He played the interested coworker. They created the digital trail together. Planned the resort weekend. Everything I found was meant to be found. My hands were shaking. I asked him why he was telling me this. He said because she's done, he got paid, signed an NDA, everything's finished. But from what he saw, I seemed like a decent guy, and he'd been doing this job long enough to feel sick about it. He slid a business card across the table. Discrete Solutions LLC, Relationship Transition Specialists. He continued, explaining there are 5 other guys like him working for this agency. They handle maybe 40 cases a year. Wives who want out but need their husbands to file first. It makes them look like the victim, gets them better terms, keeps their reputation clean. He told me my wife was the 3rd one he'd worked for this year. I felt like I was going to throw up. I asked if she actually paid him to pretend to have an affair with her. He clarified he never touched her, that they had coffee 3 times in public places, sent some flirty emails from an account she controlled, booked that resort in both their names. He checked into a different bungalow, stayed one night, then left. She was there alone the whole time. But I saw what I expected to see. I mentioned the location sharing, how she knew I'd check. He confirmed she turned it on 2 weeks before the trip, made sure I'd see exactly where she was. The emails were left in an account she knew I could access. Everything was staged. He stood up to leave and apologized, said he really was sorry. But then he told me, you should know, you're not the first. And he suggested I check my lawyer. I asked what he meant. Robert Clark, he said. Why do you think she agreed to everything so easily? Why do you think he pushed you toward that specific settlement? He walked out before I could respond, leaving me alone in that fluorescent-lit diner with a truth I didn't want to believe. I called Jason at 7 a.m., waking him up. I asked him about his divorce lawyer, Robert Clark, specifically who recommended him. Jason sounded confused, asked what was going on. I told him just to answer. He said he found him online, some divorced dads forum or something, that he had great reviews. He asked why. I hung up and started searching. It took an hour, but I found it, a pattern. Robert Clark had handled 63 divorce cases in the last 5 years. In 41 of them, he represented men who filed for adultery. In 38 of those cases, the wives were represented by Stephen Price, Olivia's lawyer. And in every single one, the settlement was 50-50ths or better for the wife, despite the adultery claim that should have hurt them. They're working together. The lawyers are in on it. I was staring at my laptop screen when my phone rang. Olivia. I answered. Hello, Olivia. Her voice was different now. No tears, no desperation. Just cold, clinical efficiency. She told me she figured I'd work it out eventually. That I was always smart, just not smart enough. I said she set me up. She said she helped me leave a marriage I didn't want anymore either. That I was miserable, too, and shouldn't pretend otherwise. She said we stopped loving each other 2 years ago, but if she filed for divorce, she'd look like the bad guy, lose friends, face questions, deal with judgment. This way? I filed. I'm the one who gave up on us. She's the victim who tried to make it work. I pointed out the affair was fake. She didn't miss a beat. But your reaction was real, Ethan. You tracked my location. You went through my emails. You hired a lawyer without talking to me. That's all true. All documented. And honestly, she paused, some people might even call that controlling behavior. Abusive. The word hit me like a slap. I told her I wasn't abusive. She responded calmly, listing everything I did. Monitored her location without her knowledge. Accessed her private emails. Had her served with divorce papers at a resort to humiliate her. Those are facts. Her therapist has it all documented. So, if I'm thinking about exposing this little conspiracy theory of yours, I should remember how it'll sound. Scorned husband can't accept his wife left him. Creates elaborate story about fake affairs and lawyer conspiracies. She asked, "Who's going to believe you?" I wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to do something. But she was right. She was completely right. I finally asked her why. Why go through all this? Because I wanted out, and I wanted to win, she said simply. I didn't love you anymore, Ethan. Maybe I never did. But I put 3 years into this marriage, and I wasn't leaving with nothing. This way, I got half of everything, kept my reputation, and you did all the work for me. You even paid for the lawyer who helped me. She paused and mentioned that Robert was very good, by the way, that he'd bill me for another few months, send me updates on post-divorce paperwork that didn't exist. By the time I figured it out, the statute of limitations on attorney misconduct would have passed. I told her she was insane. She said she was practical. And that she's not the first wife who's done this. She won't be the last. Women are just getting smarter about divorce. The line went dead. I sat in my apartment, surrounded by evidence that meant nothing. Proof of a con so perfectly executed that exposing it would only make me look worse. She played every move perfectly. Used my trust, my anger, my sense of justice against me. She knew exactly what I'd do because she knew me better than I knew myself. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a different apartment in a different part of the city, starting over. I don't date. I don't talk about the divorce. When people ask what happened, I just say it didn't work out. Because what else can I say? That my wife hired an actor to fake an affair so I'd file for divorce while her lawyer and my lawyer conspired to make sure she got exactly what she wanted? That I fell for every single part of it because I thought I was the smart one, the one in control? I still keep that photograph. The one that was slipped under my door, the one with the message about being right about the affair but wrong about who planned it. Sometimes I look at it and feel angry. Mostly, I just feel stupid. I thought I was playing chess. Turns out I was never even at the board. I was the piece being moved. And Olivia? She was always 10 steps ahead, watching me think I was winning right up until the moment I lost everything. She played me perfectly. And the worst part is, I still don't know if there's anything I could have done differently. Maybe that's the real trap. Not the fake affair, or the corrupt lawyers, or the carefully constructed evidence. The real trap was thinking I ever had a choice at all. What would you have done in my shoes?